Hello and thank you for tuning in. Happy New Year to you and to your entire family. I hope your new year is full of prosperity and all of your investments prosper. Now we all know that 2013 was possibly a year to forget in the real estate sector. There was a clear dip in consumer sentiment. As investors and as consumers, we waited around to see those prices come down, and a lot of us were not satisfied by what we saw. Today we're going to look forward into 2014. Find out what's going to be different. Should you be starting that new year in a new home? And if you should, then where should you go hunting first? We have wonderful experts on the panel today, and I'm very excited to get started. We'll focus on specific cities. In every city, we'll give you a list of locations that make the most sense for you to buy in 2014, keeping in mind the future. And in every city, again, we'll give you a list of properties and projects that you can focus on. So what you need to do right now is grab a pen and paper, write down our email ID, and of course write down the advice you hear on the show, because we have such a fantastic lineup of guests. Om Ahuja, CEO of Residential Services, Don't Lag Misal; Sanjay Dutt, Executive Managing Director, South Asia, Cushman & Wakefield; and in Delhi, Jayashree Kurup, Head of Content and Research at magicbricks.com. Let's begin the show by discussing what was the strongest market in 2013 and promises to continue to remain strong in the years to come. Bangalore, one of India's IT hubs. And I'm going to very quickly go with each of our guests to find out. Sanjay, in Bangalore, if you were to pick a location that you are most bullish on for the future, residential property, what would that be?
So really in Bangalore, with 8.5 million square feet of absorption of office space, which is largely concentrated on Outer Ring Road, Hebbal, Yelahanka, I would go for these locations for residential, because that's where the future upside in residential prices would be.
Hebbal, Yelahanka hasn't run up too much already?
There is certain projects which have actually been there for a while, and therefore there is still an upside, some new projects which are being launched. So Sushil Mantri, Purvankara, some new projects which are being conceived right now. And in fact, the specification of these projects are superior than the ones which came in earlier. So I think with subdued market sentiments, the project launches are far more realistic in pricing. And therefore, if you were to concentrate only in these pockets, because of high economic activity and office space absorption, the absorption of these locations for end user would be very high. So that means the future demand for these locations, if you're an investor and not really an occupier, you would be able to exit at a better value.
All right, Hebbal and Yelahanka, Om?
I would say Outer Ring Road would be a better option, and that would be a very good option, safest option in terms of considering.
You mean Sarjapur Road?
Sarjapur Road, okay. Outer Ring Road. And the other one would be basically the Whitefield. In our view, it can be a dark horse. At this pricing, we can't basically go wrong there.
Jayashree, given the action that you're seeing on the website right now, where do you think the most profit is going to be if we're talking about Bangalore?
North Bangalore primarily, I would agree with Hebbal, Yelahanka. Take it one step further and go to Thanisandra, because you're seeing a lot of, there's already the Manyata Tech Park there, and you see a lot of IT space coming up in the Bharatiya city and so on. So future prospects, I would say, even Thanisandra is not bad. I would like to put a small rider here that North Bangalore, while there is fantastic real estate coming up in all categories, there is a serious problem of water. So if you are buying a project, do check out that you will be serviced with good water, and you don't have to rely on tanker supplies in the future. And Marsahalli, Whitefield, I would say that there too you see a lot of action. On the site, I think end users are moving towards the Whitefield area. If you're working anywhere there, coming back to town seems to be a nightmare, so they are looking very actively at that area.
All right, so that's Bangalore. If you're working in any of these areas, you want to live close to where you work. But if you're an investor, you're looking for the mid-cap. Jayashree telling us Thanisandra. We also talked about Sarjapur, Whitefield, and Yelahanka and Hebbal. Take a look at projects in these locations that might be of interest to you. If you're looking to buy a home in Bangalore, here are some investment options in the recommended locations. Misty Waters by Prestige Developers, Nitesh Columbus Square in Yelahanka, Enchant by Olympia Group, Nitesh Cape Cod in Bangalore, Shilpita Splendor by Maitri Developers, Breeze by Avzen Realty, and Niku Homes by the Bharatiya Group in Thanisandra. If you wrote that down, let's move on now to Pune. If we are talking about IT hubs, we shouldn't be leaving Pune behind. And the interesting thing about Pune is the amount of run-up we've seen, and the fact that the space between Pune and Mumbai closing in on a regular basis. Om, I'm going to start with you. Pune is not a mid-cap anymore. It's priced fairly high. Where would you like us to focus our attention?
Well, I would say the kind of new activity which is happening in Pune in terms of new corporates moving in there, specifically on the IT space. We see a lot more action in Hinjewadi happening in next 1 or 2 years at least. And that will actually create more demand. And we believe specifically Khardi is a pocket where we believe the pricing at this point of time seems very attractive.
What about you, Sanjay?
In terms of future growth, Hinjewadi, Balewadi, which is near Baudhan, and Pune is also very unique. There is a traditional local population which prefers the Deccan area. If you're a migrant from other cities, they prefer the camp and cantonment area. So both are attractive. I think since Hinjewadi
camp and cantonment a little priced out right now?
I think it's priced out. I think Balewadi, Baudhan, Wakad, which has also been there for a while, but because of increased focus and activity in Hinjewadi, 3 IT parks and Blackstone, Ascendas, and few others, IDFC also making further investment, I think the economic activity over the next 3 years in Hinjewadi will pick up. So I think you, depending on your budget, if you can afford a little bit of more, be in Balewadi. If your budget is limited to 4,000 to 5,000, you can actually go to Hinjewadi and you see the upside.
Actually, we'd all like to really be in Koregaon Park when it comes to Pune. But tell us what pockets there are within the city right now where we can possibly consider second sale apartments, look at making an investment that will still go up because of location.
Areas like Aund, Baner and so on, which rose to fame maybe in the early 2000s, those have got a fresh lease of life, and you're seeing they're close enough to town, and I see a lot of action there in Aund and Baner Road. So I would say that those are the areas I would still consider.
Someone who's looking to buy in Pune in 2014, what's your advice?
If you're an investor, do enter at a reasonable cost and somewhere maybe early on in the development cycle or not later than middle of the development cycle so that you do get some leverage value out of your investment. The second thing is do look for places. If you're planning to hold on to it for say 3-5 years and the project is going to take off in the next 2 years, do see that there is a rental return because that always helps.
So that's advice for those of you looking at Pune, and of course you have that European weather in Pune right now. Here's a look at all of the projects in Pune that might be of interest to you. Here's what our experts recommend in Pune. In Aund and Baner, Pristine Royale and Barista by Marvel Realtors, Park Grandeur by Pride Purple Group, Aspire by the Canal Group, Equatorial by the Naiti Group, Pebbles 2 by Abhinav Group, Ashok Meadows by Peninsula Land, Eon Homes by Kasturi Homes, Blue Ridge by Orange-based Schemes, Tuscan Estate and Downtown by Kolte Patil, and Forest County by the Vascon Group. Time for us to take a very short break, but don't go anywhere because when we come back, all of our experts will stay with us. We'll talk about Mumbai. We'll also talk about why Hyderabad might be something to keep our eye on in the new year. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide on ET Now. Happy New Year to you if you just tuned in. What we're doing this week is taking a look at 2014. What the market's going to look like, where you should be focusing your money. We did talk about Bangalore and Pune. It's time for us to talk about the most complicated and interesting property market in the country, and that's Mumbai. Now, property prices over the last year have witnessed sharp spikes in specific pockets of Mumbai, and I want to find out from our guests where we should be focusing on both as investors and as end users in the city of Mumbai. Sanjay, Mumbai.
The maximum upside will be from east, whether it is Vikhroli, whether it is Mulund, whether it is Bhandup, vis-a-vis Bandra and Goregaon, or whether it is Worli versus Sivri. Same concept would follow. And then, of course, if you go further to Thana district, really it's a new opportunity where suburban, outer peripheral markets, whether it's Vasai and Virar on the western, or Dombivli and Kalyan on the central, or indeed harbour side, Panvel, Uran, and many other micro markets, including Kalamboli, Taloja, and neighbouring, opportunities that are available. All of these promise a lot of appreciation, but depending on the budget where you want to invest, these are the pockets to go about.
So there are a lot of pockets. I have a clue of what you're going to say if I ask you what's your favorite location in Mumbai. Are you going to say Chembur?
Frankly, at this point of time, anything which is within the 5 kilometers radius of Central Business District, that is BKC, will actually not go wrong in terms of appreciation, in terms of quality of product which can be delivered in this specific 5 kilometers radius. I guess Chembur is a dark horse there. Considering the connectivity which is going to happen in terms of Santa Cruz Chembur Link Road, monorail, many other things which are basically coming in and around Chembur. That's a location one needs to watch. We need to watch specifically the locations like what Sanjay said as Sivri or eastern suburbs. Those are locations where you can see appreciation, you can see the quality of life, you can see the better products coming in there. Those locations actually will be good bets for 2014 and forward.
We've been noticing Chembur for the last 1 year. It's run up a fair amount. Now, for those of our viewers who still want to invest, who can't afford Chembur because of where the prices are right now, give them one other option, a darker horse perhaps that you've noticed that you can share with us.
Well, I would say anything which is in terms of closer to Chembur, that can be Tilak Nagar, that can be specifically Kanjumarg. These are the two other locations one can look at, considering again proximity to Chembur.
Jayashree, both of the gentlemen are talking to people who have slightly deeper pockets. Tell us what we should do in Mumbai if we're looking for a home to actually live in, which is really the toughest question in this city. Someone looking to buy their first home right now, what's your advice? Where would you like us to focus?
I'll go with what activity I see on the site. I see a lot of interest in Vasai, Virar, the Navi Mumbai areas. Right up to Panvel, I see a lot of demand there and people are actively searching. They're looking for properties and I think whoever finds it is investing there. I think these are all largely driven by end users, either present end users or maybe 5 years down the line. You know, people who want to buy today and live tomorrow, or people who are looking at ready to move in apartments. The values have actually gone up a little bit, but I still think they are still affordable to a lot of buyers.
Alright, still affordable to a lot of buyers. Now before we move on, here's a list of carefully curated projects, keeping in mind location, quality of the builder and its track record, and of course, the kind of appreciation you'll get in the future. We've got all of our experts to put their heads together and draw up this list of projects in Mumbai right now that you'll find interesting. Take a look. Here's a list of impressive developments in Mumbai for someone who's looking to invest. Sunstones by Hubtown in Bandra, Zion by the Ajmera Group in Vidala, RNA Continental in Chembur, Hillcrest by Mayfair Housing, and Vicenza Regency by the HPA Spaces in Vikhroli, Celestia and Aurum Grande by the Lodha Group, Crest by Kalpatru in Bhandup, Acme Ozone and Lodha Splendora in Thane, Arinanthan Mall in Badlapur, Good Morning by Mega Fortune Developers and India Bulls Green in Panvel, Titanium Paradise and Belen Residency in Taloja, and finally the Acropolis by the Bhumi Group and Parksville by the Exa Group in Virar. Alright, so that was a list of projects in Mumbai. Let's quickly move on to Hyderabad, a real estate market that seems to have been beaten up the most in the last couple of years. Do you see Hyderabad turning around in the new year? If yes, as an investor, should I be focusing on Hyderabad?
So I doubt whether Hyderabad will turn around in next 6 months.
In 1 year, okay.
So it won't. But it's right now the most undervalued market. So definitely if you're a medium-term to long-term investor, which means 3 to 5 years or beyond, the multiples that you will not get in any other city. So if you were to invest in Banjara Hills, Jubilee Hill, right up to Gachibowli, High-Tech City, all are very good locations for you to go about and invest. I think they're considerably undervalued in my opinion.
If you were to pick a location in Hyderabad?
I would say Miapur would be a location which one can look at. Miapur again seems to be on the Bombay-Hyderabad highway. A lot more activity happening in and around the Miapur area. Even the locations what Sanjay mentioned are again fairly undervalued. And any location you pick up, primarily Gachibowli, it can basically give you multiple returns. A number of times you can't believe it.
But Jayashree, I have another very quick question for you. We talked about Mumbai and we talked about Hyderabad. Now, you've been looking at the housing sentiment index that you're working on right now with IIM Bangalore. Look at 2014 for us from the point of view of sentiment and give us some advice for those of us who are sitting on the fence right now, wondering if prices are going to come down even further, giving us an opportunity. Is it time to get off the fence?
The prices are the lowest right now. I don't see them, if they haven't risen in cities like Mumbai and Delhi, if they haven't risen at all in the last 1 to 1.5 years, that itself is a big deal because that means that the values are actually stabilizing. And I think this is a good time to buy. And consumers have indicated, when I surveyed them about 3 months ago, they wanted to wait for 3 to 9 months to buy their properties. They also knew that the elections would be, soon after the elections, the market would pick up. We think that a lot of the fence-sitters have started looking around very actively, are starting to buy. Today, the people who don't want to invest a little more, the next installment, they are willing to sell at reasonable rates. I think this is a good time to buy.
Alright, so this is a good time to buy, and this is our tip for you for the new year. While everybody else is sitting on the fence for another 6 months, use this window as an opportunity to find the right breaks in the market. Here's a list of property projects in Hyderabad that you might find interesting. If you're looking for a home in Hyderabad, here are some recommended projects. The Atria and the ARV Viva in Gachibowli, Aparna Aura and Jyoti Sinet in Jubilee Hills, Swan Lake in Kukatpalli, Prajay Megapolis, and Manjeera Majestic Homes in High-Tech City, Siv Hills by BRC Infra in Manikonda, and Panchajana in Miapur. Time for a very short break, but when we come back, we will talk about Delhi. We will also talk about Chennai. We'll find out where you should focus your attention in these two cities. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide in 18 Now. Happy New Year to you and your family if you just tuned in. This is our special episode where we're looking as far as we can into 2014 and telling you where you should focus your attention when you're buying property. I have a wonderful panel of guests with me. We talked about a fair number of cities. I want to now talk about the NCR region. It's a massive market. For someone looking to invest in the NCR, where would you like them to focus their energy?
Well, I would say the dark horse again there is Noida and Greater Noida. Considering that Wipro has recently moved their complete campus into Noida from Okhla, we see a lot more action happening in Noida around, locations in and around Noida. So I think in terms of pricing, it's fairly priced. We see good upside from here. One needs to have 3 to 5 year vision taking a call on Noida and specifically Greater Noida. Coming to Gurgaon, that's again basically we're seeing golf course extension, which has been actually picking up in the last few months. And we've seen suddenly more and more site visits happening in this specific location. So we are seeing at this point of time, one should be very careful in terms of going to Dwarka Expressway, which is very, very futuristic. But I think golf course extension is something which you see revival happening there.
What about Southern Periphery Road and things like that? If I were to choose where to invest my money right now, what would you advise?
In Gurgaon?
Yes.
So I would, between the Noida and Gurgaon, I would still bet on Gurgaon. That's one. The reason is, while Noida, in terms of infrastructure, quality, pricing, is really the dark house, like Om said, and I totally agree with him. But in terms of risk and future, Gurgaon, when you look at the economic activity, again, I'm basing my judgment on that. Maximum economic activity, both manufacturing and the services, is happening in the Haryana government and Rajasthan border, and therefore that corridor. And therefore it continues to have demand while there is a lot of supply, and the prices have gone up much higher, much beyond than the Noida, but it still has more economic activity. So I would change the strategy. I would say stick to Gurgaon. Don't buy the new launches. Buy the secondary market, which is slightly at a discounted value of 20 to 25% in Gurgaon. And therefore stick to that market because it still has the maximum economic activity. And yes, you can go all the way up to, Manesar or Sona Road or indeed towards the Dwarka, provided you're not the late entrant because the prices have gone up. So you need to pick up the project correctly.
So we bring in Jayashree. She is our voice on the ground. She's actually in Gurgaon right now. Give us advice for those of our viewers who are watching, who are looking to buy in the NCR. What should we keep in mind this year? Where would you like us to focus our energy?
The people who don't have huge budgets are looking at one, Noida extension, which is a little futuristic, but I think not a bad deal. Also, Ghaziabad. Don't write off Ghaziabad. I think Ghaziabad is a very strong, active market, one of the fastest growing markets in the NCR. It still has pockets which are eminently affordable, which is the Rajnagar extension, the Crossings Republic, and infrastructure connectivity is coming up. That is a good place for people with smaller budgets, and it is well connected to the rest of the NCR.
Here's a list of property projects that you can focus on. Remember, if you're in the NCR, then doing a background check on your developer is all the more important. That's what we've done for you. There's a list of projects to focus on. Take a look. Here are recommended properties across the NCR. In Gurgaon, the Melia by Silverglades, Windchance by the Experian Group, and Parkview Grand Spa by Vistech Developers.
In Noida Extension, Eco Village 3 and Apex Tower by Supertech, Victory Ace and Lotus Ring. In Ghaziabad, Mahagun Mascot and Gulmohar Garden by the SVP Group. In Faridabad, SRS Royal Hills and Omax Hills by the Omax Group.
Alright, finally, before we run out of time, this is only a half-hour show, I also want to talk about Chennai. It's always been a soft, traditional area where people tend to buy. People already live in Chennai, like to buy in Chennai. But is that changing? Is Chennai turning into the kind of space where investors will focus on?
Well, I would say it's not an investors market. It has primarily been an actual users market. And we continue to see that a lot more action happening in other parts of Chennai, which has been currently happening only in the OMR road. And we continue to see OMR doing well, specifically the Sholinallur area. We will continue to see a lot more action in ECR road, which is now picking up. We've suddenly seen a lot more developments coming up in ECR road, and it's more affordable. Not that what we see the prices currently in what is happening in OMR road, we see similar prices coming up in ECR road.
Sanjay, what about you? There's a lot of action happening around the airport as well in Chennai. Where would you think is the place to bet on for the future?
Bet would still be on OMR, neighboring micro markets. GST road to some extent, there's a lot of good quality stock coming up, and the infrastructure is improving, and the connectivity in Chennai is very good. If you move closer to the city, so Guindy has become a hub in Chennai. So there are certain micro markets within Chennai closer to the city. If you have certain budgets and more, you can go in there. If you have less budgets, you stick. If you want to focus on IT as a sector, then OMR and GST road. And if you are a low value buyer at low value, then Oragadam and such micro markets work out better for you.
We have a list of properties that you can look at. That's coming up now.
If you're looking to buy a home in Chennai, our experts recommend Orchid Springs by the Allianz Group, Insilly Park by Jain Housing, Pristine Acres 2, Phase 2 by the Plaza Group, Embassy Residency, Oceanic by Altus Properties, Vedanshi by Shrishti Foundations, Sri Guru Upasana, and The Point by KSV Developers.
Alright, before I wrap up this show, remember this is our New Year special. I want one word of advice from each of you. But for all of the viewers who are looking to buy homes, if it's their first home or their second home, whatever it is, what's your advice for someone buying a home this year?
When you're making a decision to buy or invest, I think one has to really, especially for buyers in Mumbai, don't be fooled by the low price of a developer. Go and see the carpet area that you're getting in Bombay, for example. Are you getting certain areas which shouldn't have been used in the carpet area, for example? So suddenly, it is the overriding principle is that please make sure that you do your due diligence, pay the lawyer, pay the consultant, pay the architect to know what you're buying, and that's key, in my opinion. Due diligence, all the way.
Yashvi, quick word of advice for our viewers this year.
Do your due diligence, check out your facts. You have plenty of places where you get to know what the values are, what the projects are, what the track record of the developer is, what how well they have been delivering, and how their projects have been faring in the market. So do your homework. Spend time on the property that you want to buy, and buy now. If you find a good property, buy now. Don't wait because somebody told you values are going to go down any further. I don't think that's happening.
Alright, so buy now. That seems to be the unanimous verdict here. We've given you all of the information you need. If you have any more questions, of course, you can write to us. We'll be here through 2014 to answer all of your questions every week. We'll do a round of thank yous to our wonderful guests. Happy New Year. Sanjay, thank you for spending time with us. Again, Happy New Year to you as well. We hope you have a wonderful year and the market is far more buoyant than the one we just saw. Jayashree, we look forward to spending the New Year with you. Thank you for joining us and Happy New Year to you as well. Alright, our email ID is at the bottom of your screen. You'll find a copy of the show on our Facebook page. You can reach me on Twitter. Thanks so much for watching.